and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals, and that's bad for our economy too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that they have to hate our country.
They've got to hate the country. They've got to hate the country.
Abortion. President Trump, you often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in America. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised
abortion is not the end all be all in your life.
It was too short, and you said, quote,
baby killing is not the end all be all in your life.
The next day, you reversed course and said you would support
child sacrifice is not the end all be all in your life, people.
Of abortion, because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month.
The 9th month.
Look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
Sacrifice the baby.
Because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think is a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick,
tampon Tim Walz,
in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born is okay.
Baby sacrifice, guys.
But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in President Trump. Also, 85% of Republicans do exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it now, and now states are voting.
Stop killing the baby. Stop glorifying killing the baby.
Torn our country apart for 52 years.
Stop,
every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought. But each individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand.
A bunch of lies from you?
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral.
That's not true. And
one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot.
That's lies.
Her husband didn't want that.
Those are lies.
A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term?
Those
They
are
don't want
lies.
that. And I
That's
pledge
not the
to you,
focus of
when
abortion.
Congress passes
Stop
the bill
lying,
to
Vice
put
President
back in place
Harris.
the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be
He
monitoring
just
your
denied
pregnancies, your
Project
miscarriages. I think the
2025.
American
He
people
just
believe
denied it.
that
Stop.
certain freedoms,
Stop lying,
the
Vice
freedom to
President
make decisions
Harris.
about one's own body, should
Like
not
we
be
did,
made by the
like we did with
Thank you,
COVID
Vice President
vaccinations.
Harris.
Like we did with COVID
Again, it's a
vaccinations.
lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible.
Because the
The states
career
are now
politicians didn't
What
want it
she
in the
says
states.
is an
They
absolute
said they
lie.
wanted it in
And
the
as far as
states.
the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you
Correct.
veto a national abortion
Correct.
ban if it
Well,
came
I
to your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know
It's
what it
just
reminds
talk.
me of when they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out
President
and
Biden.
said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
If I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he's speaking for me. But I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans. They taunted young people and a lot of other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress, do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government.
Yes.
And we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
On
And Vice
abortion.
President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
No.
I absolutely
No
support
restriction.
reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America.
No,
and
it's
understand
not.
what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs.
No, that's lies.
To do it, and what you are putting her through.
Nobody's getting on a plane if they're working 2 jobs to go get pregnant. Stop
The
lying.
majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have
you.
to respond. Another lie.
Another lie.
I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization.
In vitro
IVF,
fertilization.
I have been a leader. In fact, when
Only
they got it
women
for a
with
negative
money can
decision
get that
on IVF from the
procedure.
Alabama courts.
Only
So the
women
people
with
of
money can
Alabama
get that
and the
procedure.
legislature 2 days later voted I've been a leader on it. Nobody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month? Okay.
When will you?
Why don't you ask her that
Why
question?
don't you answer the question?
That's the
Because
problem.
under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question
you
with your veto.
could do abortions in the 7th month, the
8th
8th
month, the 9th month.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with